children. Sufficing you with the later part of the story, though we are not left with much, I wanted to discuss few important things. The first being the theme. So let us start with the story. The story, A Letter to God by G.L. Fuentes, highlights immense power in man's innocent faith in God. It teaches us that if man has childlike faith in God, he can accomplish anything considered impossible. Much like our online teaching, we had faith in our way to proceed to you, to reach to you with the hand, through the hand of education. And was it impossible? No, it was not. Moving back, if with this faith man asks God for help, God responds through his own peculiar challenges and fulfills man's any urgent legitimate desire. In the story, Lencho has been portrayed as a deeply spiritual man. He had immense faith in God's goodness and generosity. After his crop was destroyed in a storm, he wrote a letter to God requesting him to send him 100 pesos. By the way, children, peso is the currency of Mexico. Lencho's faith was rewarded. God helped him through the postmaster. Since the postmaster had only 70 pesos, he sent them all to maintain Lencho's faith in God. The innocent Lencho thanked God for his help. He also wrote another letter to God asking him to send 30 more pesos. He appealed to God to send the money through some other means. Do you know why? The doubt. As I told you before in the other video, that doubt kills you more than the dream which never finds a fulfillment. And yes, as he suspected the post office employees were crooks, he straightforwardly leaned himself to a comfortable lie, a misinterpretation, that perhaps those crooks might have stolen and pilfered a little from the 100 pesos. An open-ended story? Okay, so do we think that the story is an open-ended story? First, let us know what is an open-ended story. An open-ended story is one in which the ending is left uncertain to one degree or another. The reader is not told all the answers and is left to figure them out on his own. Now, how can we say that the story is open-ended? It is so as the story ends abruptly from the words in the letter. Let's read out the last few words of the story in the form of a letter to God. But don't send it to me through the mail because the post office employees are a bunch of crooks. Lencho. Children, this invites a lot of thoughts among the readers as the story leaves it to the reader's interpretation. The story, A Letter to God, may have ended in a rational way, thereby making Lencho realize the humble nature of people working in the post office. The time when Lencho regards them to be the people taking his money away should be taken to a much higher level. This is the time when Lencho doubts his own self because he belongs to the same trait, to the same caste, to the same creed. Let's name that creed to be human beings. So do you think, children, he was doubting his own self more than God? More than God's decision? Depth dug in the story. The story is an ironical story. Let us read further to have a clarification of the same. In the lesson, A Letter to God, the irony is that Lencho's field is destroyed due to a hailstorm. Thus, his family and he have no food for the rest of the year. Because of his immense faith in God, he writes a letter to God beseeching him that God send him 100 pesos so that he can sow his land again. He was compensated. He should have dreamt a better dream with those mere 70 pesos maybe. But he misinterpreted and threw a dark patch of golden hue in the silver lining of hope. The golden hue was much to his proliferation a land of doubt. This is read by the post officer. He and his staff collect 70 pesos and give it to Lencho, but Lencho considered them to be thieves. This makes the story undertake a U-turn, as Lencho, instead of being gratified, ends up with a bunch of complaints. That leaves me speechless, and hence ends this story, a letter to God. Compelling testimony of a life that transformed by an act of faith. The faith that finds a disease. So be it.